Hello, my name is Catchpole. I'm the Student Support Fund Officer within Student and Learning Support. I work alongside my colleague Julie Connolly, who is the Student Support Fund Administrator, and we are based within the Student Support Fund Office here within the Gateway building. My main job role is we administer and manage the student support funds that are available within the university. These include the Access to Learning Fund, the Additional Fee Support Scheme, the part-time childcare grant scheme, and also there's an emergency loan facility, and the university has a part-time fee waiver scheme. The Access to Learning Fund is funded through the Department for Education and Skills, and its main aim is to help students to access and remain in higher education. Obviously those students who experience financial hardship during their course of study can make an application to the fund, and that could be for help with sort of general living costs, childcare costs, course costs, travel costs. So any student that experiences financial hardship can apply to the Access to Learning Fund. If they come in financial difficulties, especially during the beginning of an academic year when students are waiting for their student loan and maintenance grant to arrive, they can apply to the fund for a short-term emergency loan, which helps to bridge the gap before their first instalment arrives of their student loan.
Okay.
Also, part-time students who actually have applied to their local education authority for help with their tuition fees, they might not have received the full help from the local education authority, so they could be eligible to apply for the tuition fees through the Additional Fee Support Scheme.
Right.
This is also available to part-time students who have children. They might need to use registered childcare during their course of study, so they could be eligible to apply to the childcare grant scheme. Also, students might be struggling to pay for their tuition fees. They can apply who are on a postgraduate course. They can apply to the university's part-time fee waiver scheme. And this is also available to asylum seekers who are studying either postgraduate or undergraduate, and they are eligible to apply to that scheme also. Obviously they benefit financially. It can make all the difference to a student carrying on with their course who may have otherwise considered actually leaving due to financial constraints. So it's particularly helpful for those students. There might have been an emergency situation, unforeseen emergency situation that arises for a student, where they've got an unexpected outgoing, so they can apply to the Access to Learning Fund as a non-standard application. Usually applications are done through the standard route, and what we use is what's known as an additional need method assessment. We look at the expected expenditure of a student and we measure that against the expected income. If the expenditure is higher than the income, we would pay a percentage of that shortfall, depending on how much budget was at our disposal at any one time. But any award that is made through the Access to Learning Fund is generally an award, and it is usually non-repayable. It depends on how much funding we receive at the beginning of the academic year. We try and pay as much of that percentage as we can, but it depends. We have to carefully monitor that budget during the course of the year. So generally we can only make a percentage of that payment. We can't make the full 100%. But during the academic year, it depends on how many applications we receive. So we may be able to top up that percentage during the academic year, but it just depends on how much budget's at our disposal.
On what kind of a basis can students make use of your service? Drop-in appointment, regular appointments, face-to-face, by telephone, email?
Either of those. I'm quite happy. Usually you don't need to make an appointment. You can just call in to Edinburgh 1 Level 1, or you can telephone or email. We have an excellent website with lots of information and advice to help you complete an application form. But usually you don't need to make an appointment. Quite happy for people to come in. Unless they need a particular help in actually completing the personal statement part of the application form, then we'll maybe ask them to make an appointment. But usually appointments aren't necessary.
And do students need to bring any documentation with them?
They do need documentary evidence when they do apply for Access to Learning Fund. It's clearly, there's a checklist on the application form, but it's generally the 3 months bank statements, most recent bank statements, any evidence of rent or mortgage payments that they pay, and also they must have taken out the full entitlement of statutory support from the student loan company. So we generally ask for that documentary evidence also. I'm quite happy for students to come in as a drop-in basis, or telephone or email. It generally depends on the student really how they feel most comfortable. If they're studying within close proximity to the gateway, you tend to find that they will just call in as a drop-in, which I'm quite happy for that. Otherwise, if they were sort of studying off campus, they will tend to email or telephone contact.